Hey guys, Nick here, and welcome to the omniverse of Nick and part 4 to What If Skyquake Joined the Autobots. Now, before we get into today's episode, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick channel, and further acknowledge and support the future of the channel by checking out the Patreon, Discord, and Google Doc on the homepage, as well as commenting future requests and expectations for this year. With all that said, let's get into today's part. Last we left off, Arachnid was brought to the Autobot base, with RC, Bulk, and Ratchet especially questioning Optimus's motives and completely dumbfounded that he let Arachnid into the base. They all get it. She's the only con left. Well, unless you count Skyquake, which he's pretty much an Autobot by this point, but still. But that doesn't mean you should just let a con, especially like Arachnid, into the base who killed Tailgate. But Optimus has a plan. He says that if Skyquake could change his ways, Arachnid could most likely change hers. Skyquake's committed murder too. They all have. So that makes her no worse than all of them for having gotten this far. So he specifically put Skyquake in charge of her being kept on guard. So he is on guard around her at the part of the base inside where she is being held. And Skyquake is in charge of her to try and get her to change and just to keep an eye on her. But RC, she still doesn't trust this and doesn't like it at all for what, Arachnid did. But Ratchet says that Optimus is kind of right. Skyquake did change his ways, and she's the only con left. So, if anything, Skyquake's got this. They have to go back to their original plan. Keep out of the way of Mech in case they get in their way again. Find all the relics left on Earth still, and find a way to restore Cybertron so they can finally go home, since the war's over. So, everybody just deals with the fact that Arachnid is prisoner in the base and being kept under Skyquake's care. Speaking of, Arachnid is trying to warm her way with Skyquake because they're both Decepticons. But Skyquake just arms himself and says that she's not going anywhere and she's not going to fool him. But Arachnid just gets up and says that he's a disgrace of a Decepticon for joining RC and Prime. Skyquake says if that's really the way she thinks, why are all the other Decepticons dead? Why is she in cuffs and why is he still breathing? And he just kicks her down, and that pretty much just shuts her up for now. And if you're wondering, yes, I feel like her arms, her back arms, would be kept in cuffs too, but more or less, like TF helped me with the pictures of her cuffs, it would have been a little much to put cuffs around her arms. Starscream's back to help him fly away, that's one thing. But Arachnid's arms, that would just be freaking weird. Especially with how skinny and small they are. So, yeah. And either way, Skyquake has her in complete and total control. For now, at least. But Arachnid has a plan. She's just going to wait for the right opportunity. Skyquake and all the other bots here don't know. They might have just captured the wrong Decepticon. Meanwhile, RC and Bulkhead get the Polarity Gauntlet with no trouble. There's no breakdown. Arachnid's captured. So getting that would be a piece of cake. And they would also go into the mines alone because there's no Megatron or Starscream. So, and there's also no Jack or Miko. So, this means that all the little bits of energon left in the caves and whatever tools would be left in the mines, without them getting destroyed, that would get brought to the base, which means the Autobots would have extra energon. So that would be good. And the next stop is the immobilizer, which all of Team Prime goes for except Ratchet. And Skyquake is still behind with Arachnid, keeping her under wraps. And she hasn't been able to do a dang thing, because Skyquake has ensured that with how strong he is and what he knows Arachnid to be, being a fellow Decepticon and knowing about Arachnid, she hasn't even gotten a chance to talk to him. But eventually, that changes. Because of the bots all being gone, Skyquake being the only one here besides Ratchet, this means one big thing. Arachnid has an opening. She smiles at Skyquake and says that you bots might be smart, and you might have been smart to choose the side that ultimately benefited you Autobots in winning the war, and you being a disgrace to all Decepticons, and capturing me. But that's just it. You made the worst mistake possible. Skyquake asks, what would that be? And Arachnid just smiles devilishly. You captured the last and worst Decepticon possible. And with this, the bots forgot one crucial, fatal mistake. Arachnid's cuffs, they are cuffed to her. She can't move. But remember, she can shoot out of the center of her arms. And web, that's her main attack, not just her back arms. So, since the cuffs are only around her wrists, she can still web, which she gets right in Skyquake's eyes, and then is able to get the key and unlock all of her cuffs, and just uses her arms, pins Skyquake against the wall, and just bashes him through. She's not interested in tearing out Skyquake's spark right now. She's just interested in getting out of the base. Skyquake recovers and gets his machine gun turret and opens fire on Arachnid. But Arachnid just flees out of there, yickety split. And with this, she knocks Ratchet out of the way and gets into the ground bridge that the bots went into to get the immobilizer. Skyquake recovers, goes over, helps Ratchet, and then they both contact the bots that Skyquake is going to try to come and help, or he at least tells Prime and the other bots to be on guard because Arachnid just escaped. And by this point, the bots have gotten the immobilizer when B sees from above Arachnid. She fires her webs at all the bots, with Optimus, B, and RC I feel being the main ones to dodge. Not saying the Bulk couldn't, but they're the main ones, obviously. If it was completely off guard, she would have webbed all of them, which means that even if she didn't, this is enough of a distraction for her to get the immobilizer from the bots. So, now Arachnid has the immobilizer and it's not destroyed. And she flees out of there in copter mode as fast as she can. RC wants to open fire and all of them chase after Arachnid, but Optimus tells her that that's not necessary and for them to return to base. Once they do, they all have a talk. And Skyquake apologizes for basically letting Arachnid go. He tried to stop her, but she had the opening with her webs and her shooting, which they all forgot about. And Optimus says that it's not his fault. Arachnid fooled them all, and maybe it's his fault for thinking that she could change, even if she is the last Decepticon. And RC says that the next time she shows her face, they're finishing her once and for all. And Skyquake and pretty much everyone else kind of besides Prime still, a little bit, mostly agree. What happens after this? Well, the cylinder that had the synthetic energon formula is not going to get knocked into anybody, so they collect that without a hitch, which also means we're not going to get that bulkhead, TMI, all that stuff, and we're also not going to get Ratchet testing out the synthetic energon because there's no one besides Arachnid and Mech to test it out on. So what would be the point? So Optimus safeguards the synth then and says that since there's no need for them to use it, they will store it and try to master it into maybe trying a sort of kind of ground bridge or, space bridge to try and restore Cybertron, or if anything, just use the completed synth then to upgrade future stores of Energon. Plus, Optimus says they're going to need it because he feels that something bad is approaching the Earth and the universe, and that Cybertron's going to have to wait for the beginning of a rising darkness. And this is the beginning of the prophecy, remember. But Ratchet, RC, and Bulk are wondering, why all of this now? Megatron and all the cons are dead besides Arachnid and Mech. What could possibly be happening to the Earth that could be a rising darkness? Skyquake, however, has a feeling he knows what Optimus is talking about. Yes, Optimus, you don't mean... Optimus nods. The rise of Unicron. And this is where we would get the volcano with the dark energon. And we're at that point, Unicron's emergence. What's going to happen here? Will the bots be able to defeat Unicron and save planet Earth and even try to attempt to get home without Megatron to help them? Or is Skyquake enough of a literal boss in the story that they don't need Megatron? Or could Arachnid pull a 180 and help the bots in place of Megatron? With all that said, stay tuned for the next episode, where we touch into Unicron's emergence and possible defeat.